I'm Officer Tommy Norman, and you're watching Willie D Live.
Welcome to Willie D Live. I am Willie D. We are live on location at the Sheraton in Houston, Texas for Trade Day. And Trey, if you don't know, is one of the most important individuals in the United States because of what he does in the community. He always giving back. I mean, always is doing something with the youth. And he's that guy that you can call anytime you need to mobilize people. One of the people that he mobilized and got out here to Trade Day is a very, very, very important piece in community police relations. This man gets it. He has recently gained international and national notoriety for his special way of policing, and especially in the minority communities of color. He's got this way of connecting with inner city youth. He spends his own money oftentimes to buy them gifts, and he plays with the kids and stuff, and he just gets it. In fact, Killer Mike said that this guy was necessary, and he says that his role is to inspire. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish y'all was in here so everybody can damn stand up. Officer Tommy Norman.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here.
Man, welcome, man. Listen, man, when I saw you doing what you was doing out there with those kids, man, I was like, that's it. What is so hard about police officers being compassionate about the communities that they serve and being compassionate about the people in the communities?
You know, it's something that you really can't teach. You can't teach compassion and love at the police academy. It has to come from within. You have to have it. Like you said, you have to have it or you don't. And so to me, it's really simple because I lead with my heart. I don't lead with my badge. I don't lead with my police car. You know, when I step foot out of that police car, I lead with my heart. And that's when you start forming relationships. And I can talk about that later.
Right. How did you grow up?
I grew up in North Little Rock, the same city that I patrol. Family of 9. My mom raised all of us by herself. Didn't grow up with a lot. Did you grow up around inner city kids? Did you grow up around black kids? I did. Had a lot of black friends from as young as I can remember.
Did you go to school with black kids?
I did, yes.
Okay. So that kind of shaped your opinion a little bit because you could relate.
It helped. I definitely could relate at a young age.
Right. Now, this is what I wanted to get right to immediately is the militarization of our law enforcement in America. How do you feel about our law enforcement going into our communities with tanks?
Well, personally, I don't agree with it, you know, because with me, it's easier for me because I've always parked my police car and got out. The more time you spend out of your police car, the bigger impact you're going to have. But you know, our police department, doesn't necessarily have those type of equipment because of our budget, so to speak.
Right.
But some of the large ones, I know that they do, and so, you know, I've never been a part of a specialized team. I've always been a part of the community policing team. And so, you know, I think that you can take a different approach, but it all starts back with relationships. So the more relationships that you build, the less tanks you have to enter into that neighborhood.
Right. Now, you are a police officer in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I've been to Little Rock many, many times, and I tell you, boy, it was real bad back in the 90s.
Oh, it was.
It was real bad.
It was.
And you're saying it's not as bad
not
as
as bad now. We still have our issues,
right.
You know, but you know, I know back in the 90s it was so bad that HBO even did a documentary, Banging in Little Rock.
Right.
There was a very powerful video of the Crips and the Bloods, and so, but things have improved somewhat, but we still have our share of crime in certain parts, of the city.
Explain to the audience, why is it necessary for cops to shoot to kill when oftentimes you have people in situations where they seem to be not a major threat, not a threat to somebody's life. I mean, why is it that it's necessary to shoot somebody 75 times?
Well, at the police academy, you're actually trained to shoot center mass. That's how we're trained. But now they have less lethal. They have like beam bags or even tasers. but I'll go back to that. The more you interact with the community, the relationships that you build, you're going to have to use less of those lethal actions. The way you talk to someone, I'm going to respect you the way I respect my mom and my dad. I'm going to talk to you the way that you want to be talked to, the way that I want you to talk to me. And it all goes back to those relationships. It all goes back to, if I go on a call where there's someone that is being irate and he's screaming and yelling, and he sees this police officer pull up, get out of his police car, okay, that's Officer Norman. Or that's an officer that actually has known me since I was a kid. So you're automatically going to gain that respect, and that will diffuse the situation. But as far as, I can't speak for other departments as far as the shootings in other cities, but, I know we have less lethal options now, bean bags, we have, tasers and things like that take away from you having to take someone's life.
Right. When I was growing up, man, we were taught to respect police officers. And I guess I did have a lot of respect for police officers until I got to be around maybe 15 years old or so, and I started having interactions with police officers. And I remember, I'm from the hood, so I grew up around, a lot of bad situations. And the thing that I came to learn about community and police relations was that there really wasn't any. I just remember vividly anytime I had an interaction with the police, or even if I just saw the police in my neighborhood, it was always bad circumstances. It was all, and the cops always spoke in an authoritative manner. It was always aggressive. It was like a us against you type mentality. And I just don't understand that type of mentality when we're all supposed to be Americans. How do we have a us against you in our communities, and then we're supposed to be us against them overseas, the bad guys, ISIS? How do you justify that? My thing is this. I know that we need police officers, but we need good police officers. We don't need police just to have police. We need good police officers to work in our communities. And it's not just in having a diverse group of people working in the community. A lot of people is arguing that we need more black officers working in the community. That is true. But we more than black officers, we need good officers, because the bad officers, those racist white cops that we know that we do have out there, they'll just sit back and wait till you cross that line. When you get outside of your community, then they'll blow your head off. Yep. So I want to know what is help us understand, how do you qualify to become a police officer? What is the process? How do they vet you guys to say, okay, this guy is of stable mind and body and he's in good mental shape. We can give him a gun and turn him loose on our streets, and we expect him to make the right decisions.
Well, let me start with the first topic that you brought up, as far as you only see police officers when something bad happens in your community. It shouldn't be that way. Right. Police officers all over the United States should take a proactive stance to drive into those neighborhoods, walk those streets, sit on some front porches, before crime takes place. That way you're developing that trust and respect, and hopefully that brings the crime rate down, because you have people that see you every day. They shouldn't see you whenever someone breaks into their house. They should see you every day. Every single day they should see that familiar that face in that police car. As far as police officers being hired, there's a process you have to go through. You have to take a physical agility test, a mental exam, but sometimes you don't know I guess the officer's true demeanor until actually they're hired, and then if they do make mistakes like that, hopefully that they're weeded out and they're no longer part of the police department. Right. As I said, you can't teach a lot of what should be done as far as community policing at the police academy. You can teach an 8-hour class on how do you community police, right? You can teach me a class on how to talk on the radio, but am I going to get out there and do it the right way? And so a lot of times with me, I'll have to say that it's a gift, the way I connect with people from all races, from all ages. God bless me with the gift to really be able to connect with people I prefer patrolling areas of my city that are impoverished, low income. The front yards have dirt instead of grass. Houses are falling apart. Kids are sitting on the front porch with nothing to do. That's where I come in, and that's where, my positive policing methods come in, and really I feel like make a big impact.
Well, there are cops that feel the same way in terms of wanting to come into those impoverished communities and those communities that need it the most and need that guidance the most. But they're coming to bust heads. They want to come out and bust heads. They want to get their stripes. To them, it is a rite of passage to work in the inner city. And because, I'm going to just be straight up with you, some of these officers just got a chip on their shoulder, and they do have that us against them mentality. How do you explain? I don't know if you saw the video of the guy who got shot in Florida. He was laying on his back. He was a caseworker, a social worker, and he was trying to talk down a guy with autism. The guy with autism was playing with a truck, and he was sitting Indian style on the ground, playing with a truck, and the black guy was on his back with his hands up, explaining to the officers what his duties were, what his title was, and what he was trying to accomplish. They still shot the man. When they shot him, his hands were still like this. The guy, I don't know what more perfect that you can do to not get shot. The guy had his hands up like this. Not side, he didn't flinch, he didn't go to the side, to the left, to right, he didn't raise up nothing. He, the whole time, hands up. And the cops still shot him. How do you give people hope to restore their faith, or even just have faith in our law officers, in our officers of the law in the first place? How do you give them that faith for the first time that we're going to have guys out there that are responsible when you put these tools in their hands, these deadly weapons in their hands, and send them out into the streets to patrol our neighborhoods? How do we know? Like, I know so many parents, so many family members. I know so many girlfriends, mothers, fathers who are totally paranoid about sending their children out into the streets. And there was a time when the most dangerous element in the streets was maybe a kid or somebody out there that was a predator or something. Now, for black people especially, they are more paranoid about their kids coming in contact with the police. And these are good kids, man. These are very good. Many of these kids are good kids. They're not gang banging. They're not stealing. They're not breaking into people's homes. They're not robbing banks. Many of these kids are in school. Many of these kids are scholar students. And they are progressive. They're doing everything the right way. And the parents are still paranoid as hell because of the climate out there with policemen just being trigger happy.
And there are families in the city that I patrol, friends of mine that I grew up with, and now their kids, and they are fearful of the police because of what they see taking place across the United States.
Yeah.
But you asked me, how do you provide, trust and faith and hope in those people that are fearful of the police? And, the majority of police officers across the United States, they're doing the job right. There are some that actually make mistakes, and they make the rest of us look bad. And so, I tell those people that are listening, give us time to restore, faith in what we do as police officers. People shouldn't be scared of officers. They shouldn't be going inside their houses or whenever they see a police officer coming or when they see a police officer behind them. But you should feel safe. You should feel comfortable in your own community, in your own homes, to know that police officers aren't there to harm you. And so, my mission every day, especially when I hear of situations and incidents across the United States, my mission is to go out even more and really bridge that gap.
Right.
And of course, social media kind of changes the game as far as people all over the world are watching what we do in my police department because of our actual work with the inner city youth, and it provides them with a lot of hope and promise.
Right. So, one of the other things that I want to talk about is the way policemen act, people in law enforcement act, even law enforcement supporters, people that, and I'm not saying that I'm not a supporter of law enforcement. I do think that we need law, but more important than law, we need order. You can't have law without order, and we don't have order. It seems to me we don't have order within the law. So one of the things that irks me is that oftentimes when people of color get gunned down by the police, doesn't matter what the circumstances is. I mean, it's always the same people taking the cop's side no matter what, just blindly go in straight for, doesn't matter what happened, how it happened, they automatically are gonna take the cop's side. The police automatically take their fellow cop's side. It seems like there's no objectiveness. There's no bipartisan. It's like every time the cop kills somebody of color, there is absolutely no remorse, no compassion for that person who got killed. People automatically just blame the victim, sort of like they do with rape victims. They just blame the victim, always trying to figure out what did the victim do. She must have, like they do with rape victims. She wouldn't have wore that dress. It wouldn't have happened. She was drinking. That's why it happened. When she was loose, she did that. Oh, remember, she stole a sneaker out the store 25 years ago. That's why she got killed. She should have been raped. So it's that blame the victim mentality. It's that just not caring, like if they have no compassion for our people when they get gunned down. Yet when the police get killed, they want us to feel their pain. They want us to have compassion, and they want us to rally and say we must protect the blue. I mean, my thing is that I love who love me. Now, I know some of you Christian people out there, you're going to get mad at me, but I love who love me, and I hate who hate me. And whoever want to fight me, I want to fight them. Whoever want to kill me or trying to kill me, I'm going to be trying to kill them. So that's my mentality. So what I'm trying to get to is that how is it that those in law enforcement and the people who support, like vigorously, blindly support law enforcement, because I support law enforcement too, but I don't blindly support law enforcement. So the people that blindly support law enforcement, the cop apologists, how is it that they could be in their right mind to expect us to be empathetic when cops get killed, but they're not empathetic when we get killed?
Well, that's
like, how is it that their life is more important than me? I don't care about your title. My life is just as important, is more important than your life. I don't care if you wear blue. My life is more important to me than your life is to me. My life is more important to my children than any cop's life is to my children. My life is more important to my brothers and my sisters and everybody that love me than any other cop out there that's getting gunned down that they don't know. You see, so I don't understand, like, if you want us to care, you want us to be empathetic, you want us to be pro-cop, and you want us to help you catch the bad guys, you got to give us something. You got to show us that you are compassionate and you empathize with our plight also.
And I agree with that. And, I don't have all the answers, but I will say this, you know that what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And if a police officer out there shot someone unjustifiably, then of course, I'm not going to side with the police. Even though I'm a police officer, I'm also a human being.
Right.
Right. And so I'm not going to always side with the police. I'm there for the people. I'm there for the neighborhood. Now, if someone in the neighborhood makes a mistake, or if a police officer makes a mistake, I'm not going to side with an officer just because I'm an officer. Right.
Right.
I'm Tommy Norman
right.
before I'm Officer Norman. If that police officer makes a mistake, I'm gonna report it. And I don't care how he feels or my peers feel. It's going to be reported to my superior. And so, that's when your morals and your ethics come into play. And like I'll say it again, the uniform doesn't come before my heart and the way I feel about people in general, especially the people that I'm sworn to protect and serve. Simple as that.
We're going to take a break, and we're going to come right back. He is the officer that has taken the internet by storm. Tommy Norman. His Instagram account has over 1.2 million followers. Man, you got more followers than most celebrities, like most entertainers. I mean, you're a celebrity. Now you're a celebrity yourself in your own right.
Yeah, I don't feel worthy, and I ask people, what's the big deal? Because to me, it's something I've done for so many years.
Right.
But I've come to learn that people have such a deep appreciation for just positive, not just a police officer being kind, just a human being being kind to his fellow man or his neighbor, but with the current events, with police officers and police relations with the community and somewhat strained, people they fell in love and with the work that's being done in the community that I work in.
Right. I know it's only certain things that you can say, being that you are still employed by Little Rock Police Department. But the thing is this, I have to give a shout out to your superiors because here's the thing. If they was not on board with this, you couldn't continue to do the work that you do with that badge. And I got to salute those dudes because I always say leadership starts at the top. And that tells me a lot about leadership out there. They get it. They really do get it.
Well, you're right, because they could, not allow me to actually, interact social media wise, with the community. But I think it's something that they realize is really, really vital, especially now.
Yeah.
For the world to see this police department in really a small town. North Little Rock is 62,000 people. Not a lot of people at all. But when you're in a position and you actually have the eyes of the world watching you, it's something that I think you should continue.
Right. And speaking of another one of those 5 senses is that the ears of the world, and we're talking about penetrating that blue wall of silence. Have you ever found yourself in that position where you had to actually call a guy out and say, no, it didn't go like that, it went like this?
Other than maybe a few times where police officers have felt like maybe we're maybe talking to someone the wrong way, maybe just being extremely disrespectful, especially a new officer. Hey, you can't talk to a person like that. You can if you want to, but you're going to make your job a lot more difficult. As I mentioned earlier, treat people with respect. Don't talk down to people. You don't have to scream and yell at people.
Right.
To me, my most valuable weapon is my mouth. It's more powerful than my gun, than my badge, and my handcuffs, my pepper spray. How you talk to people, people remember that down the road. And if you treat them with respect. I remember a drive-by shooting in North Little Rock several years ago. We were looking for this young man. His mom calls me, says, hey, I want to turn my son into you. So I go to his house. He's waiting on me. We go to the jail. On the way to the jail, I said, we've been looking for you for a while. Why'd you turn yourself into me? He says, because when I was a little kid, you stopped in that neighborhood. You got out and you talked to me with respect. You spent time with me and you showed me dignity. And that can go a long way.
Right.
So if you go out there and scream and yell at people every day and really bully people, it's not going to help you as a police officer.
Yeah. I would think if I was a police officer, that would be the kind of police officer that I would want to be, because to me, I think it would just make my job a lot easier and safer.
Oh, exactly. If you love that neighborhood's going to love you back 10 times more. And I know that for a fact. Right.
Do you teach any classes?
I don't. My passion is to travel the world to teach other police departments the right way to police. Actually, since I've been here.
But would they be receptive of that? Because I know a lot of police departments out there, they don't want to change. They don't feel like they have to talk to the community or make any type of concessions with the community.
Well, I feel like that if they're wise, that they should hear, what a police department or police officer has to say, that we're proof that that it works.
Yeah. What about book? I know somebody had to come to you by now and ask you to write a book.
Oh, books, reality TV shows, you name it. We've been approached a lot by a lot of people, a lot of producers, books, reality TV shows, you name it. International attention has been focused on us, and all over the world, people actually want to hear what we're doing.
Right. So I do a little management and stuff on the side, Yeah, anyway. Look here, man. This is what I want to know. Have you ever had to fire your weapon?
Not on duty. Obviously, we have to go qualify to firing range three or four times a year. But no, I haven't. And it goes to show, in 18 years of being a police officer, never been in a fight. Never, as far as anything really, really physical. But it goes back to what really helps is I'm from that town. Town, so that helps. Now, you have an officer that grew up in another state. He comes into police in that community. It's a little bit of a disadvantage because he has more work to do to bridge that gap. But the streets that I patrol now, I used to run around in when I was growing up. So that really helps.
So me and like 21 other rappers, including Trader Truth, we met with the mayor of Houston, Sylvester Turner, a couple of days ago, and we talked about ways to solve these issues that we have with community and policing. And one of the guys, I can't remember who made that suggestion. I don't know if it was Killer Callion or OG Ron C. Somebody made the suggestion that cops qualify to patrol first. They have to patrol the neighborhoods first. Like 300 hours. I think he said something like 300 hours would be good. First of all, you got to patrol the neighborhood that you're going to work in before you can become a cop. Actually, before you can become a cop, you must patrol in that neighborhood, not just drive around, but walk the beat, get to know the people. Because to me, I never really thought about that, but it made so much sense because if I'm a cop and I have part of my job is that the prerequisite of becoming a cop is that I have to get out there on the beat and meet people and talk to people. And I'm going to get to know those people. And I'm going to see those people over and over. And I'm going to create some type of bond. I'm going to get to know people on a first name basis. And let's say something's going on and I roll up on them and I got my partner with me. Maybe he wants to jump out and play cowboy. But I say, whoa, that's Miss Maddie's son. Wait a minute. He just look real slow. You ain't got to do all that. That's just how you act. And you walk up and talk to him and you defuse, you de-escalate. And everybody live and everybody go home.
That's powerful. You hit it on the head. That's exactly right. And our new police recruits, before they actually get hired, they have to ride with another officer that's already, working at the police department and patrol those streets and kind of get to meet people. And you're right. I mean, going to that community and meet people, and if that happened all over the United States, a new officer would be more of an advantage because he already knows the people in the community.
Right.
And that's so powerful to talk about.
Right. Do you find that there's a little hating going on since you're getting all this notoriety by some of your fellow co-workers?
Well, I don't know about fellow workers, but just I think maybe people in general, I would have to say that, my peers, they support what I do. I get ragged a little bit, I get ragged about going out and passing out drinks and teddy bears and, snacks. But that's where relationships begin, and that's where they start.
And who else is hating? Is it those people that feel like the cops shouldn't be friendly?
You should be out there. You should be out there arresting people. You should be out there what are you doing? Posting videos of you interacting with the kids. That's not what a real police officer does. But that is what an officer, his job is truly, is to go out there and protect and serve.
I think when people know that their neighborhood is being patrolled by people who care, it's a certain amount of respect that's going to come with that. And there'll be guys that may normally act a fool. They said, nah, man, they're going to stop it. Now, we got it good over here, man. We don't want those other kind of cats coming around here. We got it good. Let's respect that. This is this man beat. Now, you can't be out here doing that or that, because then he going to come through here. Then you going to make it hard. We taking this man for granted. That's disrespectful. It's like the G's, and somebody going to say, hey, you can't do that. And I do believe also that whole no snitching thing, that'll be like, psst, that's gone. Because here's the thing that people don't understand. It's a huge misconception out there that black people don't want their neighborhoods to be safe. It's like they don't want the neighborhoods to be safe. So That's why they keep talking about this no snitching policy or whatever. But people want their neighborhoods to be safe. Everybody wants to feel safe in their own neighborhood. You want to feel safe. You don't want walking to the store to be an adventure. You want your neighborhoods to be safe. So if your neighborhood is safe, you're going to respect the people who make those neighborhoods safe, and you're going to make sure that they are protected. So let's say Officer Norman come through the neighborhood and somebody is getting out of line. Officer Norman damn near ain't even got to check him. The G's going to check him. They're going to be like, hold on. Oh, dude, you ain't going to handle him like that. That's one of the good ones. That's how it go down.
Or if you just you have an officer that develops that strong rapport and respect. You drive up, get out of your car, and a lot of times that's it. There's that officer. He's here now. You know, that's part, because you're not really a police officer for them. You're part of a family.
Right.
You're part of that family. And as far as the snitching goes, you build that strong bond with that community. They're going to tell you who committed that crime.
That's right.
Because they want to help you out.
And let me put it out there for some of you guys out there who don't know. Snitching ain't when you see somebody just walk up to somebody and rob them or beat them in the head or gun somebody down. Snitching is when you out there committing a crime, or you go out there doing something dirty with your homie or whatever, then y'all get popped and you give him up to reduce your time, to make it easier on yourself. That's snitching. So let's get past this whole concept of somebody coming through the hood and being able to rape, pillage, and disrespect the neighborhood and not give his funky ass up. You know, if he's out there doing something dirty in the neighborhood, he's out there doing anything dirty and he making it unsafe for our women and children, he need to be checked. He need to be called out. He need to be given up. But I understand the other side of the issue is that oftentimes people feel safer with the people who are doing the bad stuff in the neighborhood than they do with the police, because all of these interactions, well, most of the time they have an interaction with the police, it's always negative. I've seen situations where people were killed in my neighborhood and the police came into the neighborhood and they were laughing and cracking jokes over the dead body. This is not just white cops. Black cops have done it too. They come to the scene of the crime, somebody laying out in the streets, they sitting around eating and laughing and joking. And
I feel that happens because those officers aren't connected to that community. If you're connected to that community, that child that dies in a house fire, that's your child too, because you're part of the family.
Right. What's like the thing that really made you say, I mean, I'm sure you done acts of kindness, but what was the thing that made you say, I'm gonna turn it all the way up? Like, this is not just gonna be a one-time event. Yeah, I did this and I've done that, but you know what? I want to make this a lifestyle.
Because I see so many people in that community hurting for whatever reason. They lost their job. They're going through a divorce. They lost a loved one to a murder. So you know that you can stay committed and be there for them during the time of hurt. But when they're not hurting, that's really the true test of a police officer that cares. When they're not hurting, are you still going to be there? And there you have it.
Wow. When they're not hurting. And that's what's happening with a lot of times too, is that people are hurting. I know, growing up in the hood myself, I'm man enough to admit that I was hurting. I didn't know that I was hurting other people because I was hurting. I didn't know that. I thought that, I'm doing this because they're doing something to me, or I'm doing this because I feel like doing it. But I didn't realize, because I was being disrespected and abused at home, that I was going out and I was wreaking havoc on the community at large. I'd go to school and I'm beating up people at school. I'm walking down the streets, I'm beating up people in the streets. And I just didn't catch it. I didn't get it until I was like in the 8th grade or so. When I got in the 8th grade, I stopped being a bully. I started actually bullying bullies. I just did not like bullies at all, and I still don't. But I realized that a lot of times people act out. People are abusive. They are disrespectful. They're violent because they're hurting, and they use that negative aggression to mask the real problem. So that makes a lot of sense to me when you say that.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of society turn their back on those people that are violent, those people that are hurting, those people that may be, as you said, someone has a mental disability. Most of society or part of society, they'll turn their back on those people. But you've got to find the time to really find out their story,
right,
and keep in contact with them. And it's easy to me because it's a gift that I developed at a young age to really be able to connect with people. I don't care where you live, what kind of clothes you wear, what kind of car you drive. If you don't care for your neighbor, you won't be remembered. You won't leave that legacy that people will always want to be a part of.
Right. And that legacy for you is what?
Just to care for people, develop relationships.
Right.
Here in Houston, Texas, last night eating at Houston Steakhouse, I finally realized the impact that I made.
Right.
Four people walk up to me and want a picture, and I'm 7 hours from Little Rock, Arkansas. It finally hit me last night, Willie, that what I'm doing is changing lives.
Man, when
and I say that with modesty and humbleness because I'm not boasting.
I know.
It's just crazy.
Yeah. When I talked to Trey about interviewing you, first of all, when Trey told me that you were coming, I was like, what? Hell yeah. I want him. Yes. I want to talk. I want to talk to that dude. Yes. And because what you're doing, man, is just so important, especially in these times. We got to do something about community and police relations. The police have all of the military might. They have the government backing them. They have the gun, the badge. They got Johnny Law and all of that stuff on their side. But still, it's not enough to be able to do your job and feel like you're doing the right thing and be safe while you're doing your job, because you got to know that if people are out there getting knocked off left and right and nobody's paying a price for it, then at some point the pendulum is going to swing the other way in the opposite direction, and we're going to have these situations where we're going to have good cops losing their lives, and nobody wants that. So let's just make that clear. Man, I want to thank you for coming on Willie D Live, man. I mean, you really, really made my day, man.
Well, I'm honored that you have me on.
How do people get in touch with you? What's the name of that Instagram account?
So Instagram is tnorman23, and I encourage you to follow me and watch my work. It will inspire you. It'll have you crying, it'll have you laughing, it'll have you really knowing that there's a lot of hope and humanity for the world to be a better place. Twitter at Officer Norman.
Right.
Snapchat is Mission Give, and then I have a Facebook public figure page is Officer Tommy M. Norman.
Officer Tommy Norman, doing it the right way. This guy is exemplary of what an officer should be. A peace officer should be keeping the peace. Well, y'all, it's been a pleasure. It's been a thrill to let you know how I feel. Some may grit and pitch a fit, but the watch on my wrist say that's all you're going to get. Until next time, y'all be good, and if you can't be good, be great.